Today on the show, we talk about Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and the future of the Marvel television universe. This is Nerdy Pop.
You're replacing me with the dog?
Sorry, man. Hey everybody, welcome to Nerdy Pop, the show. I am Matt Barnes, and with me as always...
Hi, I'm Rob. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm excited. Today's topic is very exciting.
Yes, it is. Today we're talking about Marvel on TV. And
Marvel on TV.
I mean, you think about like 10 years ago, there wasn't even really Marvel in movies, and now Marvel's everywhere. They took over the movies and they did it in just huge fashion. And now even in television, they're on ABC with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they did Agent Carter. And then now Netflix shows where they're kind of taking a whole different thing. And so I thought we've got to talk about this.
Oh no, like you said, the Marvel on TV is this, competitive brand of Marvel films, and the Netflix are a huge part of that. I mean, I got to tell you, Matt, Daredevil seasons 1 and 2 were phenomenal, and growing up on the Daredevil books, and those are all, so far we're still in the realm of an artist, writer-artist named Frank Miller, who when he was in his early 20s took over Daredevil and changed the entire direction. Daredevil was like a second-rate Spider-Man. And everything with the martial arts, the supernatural, mystical parts of it, the Kingpin. The Kingpin was a Spider-Man villain. And Daredevil reached over, took him, and now he is literally, I mean, as you can see, he's a Daredevil villain. But I mean, they just transformed the entire chemistry of the book, and that was at a crucial age for me. So that's why it excites me. And all the stuff that's coming is all like young Robbie Liefeld was. If I could go back and tell him, you're going to see this on TV and it's not going to suck, he would have conniption fits. So, but I love it because you're not as much, you weren't born and raised in the comics like I was. But again, we merge over these wonderfully produced shows.
I love it. You know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was kind of, it took a while.
It's ABC.
It's ABC.
I blame it on ABC.
I feel like the last season or so, I stuck with it just because I was fascinated. I wanted to see if they could bring it around, and I feel like it's got some traction. But Agent Carter I really enjoyed, which was, they did the two kind of...
Agent Carter was great.
It was great.
Watch both of them.
And she is campaigning, Haley Atwell is campaigning heavily to get that back on the air.
She's so cute. She's adorable. The whole show, I think, hangs on her like appeal, too. She's great.
Oh, absolutely. But the Netflix shows, I think that was the surprise because it's so different from the ABC shows, and it's so different from the cinematic universe, and yet still occupies that space. So let's talk Daredevil first, because I think that was the first one that they did. My first exposure to Daredevil was not comics; it was Ben Affleck.
That movie did not suck. You guys can all say it sucked. Go back and watch it again. And it did very well, but I know it's been retconned into being this crappy movie. But it was, what, 2003? It was early. But anyway, go ahead. Early. If you want to hate on it, have at it.
You know what? Honestly, I remember seeing it. I remember thinking, that was pretty good. I didn't love it, but I didn't also.
I mean, it was a jam-packed Ben Affleck, Jennifer Garner, and Colin Farrell, right?
And I went because I was in love with Jennifer Garner.
Oh,
from
who
Alias,
wasn't? Oh my gosh!
So I may have been very focused on her and not really noticing what else was going on in the movie at the time. But that kind of died by the wayside. And kind of thought, oh well, we'll never see Daredevil again. And then they do this. What, like, for you as somebody who knows the back, what did they get right about that? Why does it work?
Well, no. Well, okay, here's the deal. As much as I don't hate the Ben Affleck movie, the TV show just destroys it because the TV show has the grit and the feel. And look, that was early Marvel. Everything pre-Iron Man 2008, everything changed with Iron Man 2008. With this character that the papers were like, who's Iron Man? We've never heard of him. Iron Man was never a top 10 comic book. Suddenly, with Downey Jr. in the row, it's a billion-dollar film franchise. So that changed everything. That changed the fortunes of Marvel Comics. But prior to that, with the X-Men films, the Fantastic Four, and Daredevil, it was one of the better offerings if you look back. Like, I mean, come on, Nick Cage Ghost Rider? I mean, that's like, oh, that's horrible.
and yet somehow that got a sequel. I don't understand.
Seriously, but the Netflix shows, I love the street level. Marvel has always had a strong brand of street level characters. They have their cosmic, kind of their cosmic heroes are some of the best, and then they have their super-powered, you know, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men. But Marvel has always, really, Spider-Man is a street-level character.
Yeah.
But Daredevil and Power Man and Iron Fist, and even though they all have like one superpower, their adventures and their origins are from like the 70s when I was a kid. I'm like, you're not a kid. I was a kid. And I wanted to be a black man who wore a tiara and a chain. Like Luke Cage was, I grabbed that and Luke Cage, Power Man. That was, his book was, the big bold thing was Power Man.
Okay.
And the small was Luke Cage.
Okay.
And I mean, eventually Luke Cage joined the Fantastic Four and took over for the Thing. I know you're like, what? But like, those are great. Guys my age, we worship that stuff. But he was this guy who in prison was subjected to the same sort of experiments that like Captain America was. But and it turned his skin to like invincible.
Yeah.
And then gave him added strength. But Marvel in the 70s was trying to up their sales.
Yeah.
And Iron Fist and Power Man were part of that experimentation. They looked at what was going on in cinema.
Yeah.
With Shaft. And Foxy Brown, and all the blaxploitation films, what are now called blaxploitation films, the stuff that Tarantino digs so much. Marvel decided to, well, we're going to go this route. And I mean, Luke Cage took place in Harlem, and he battled pimps and drug lords, and an occasional super villain.
Right.
But I mean, it was really like street, and again, for little Robbie Liefeld in Orange County, white boy, white family. I mean, I was bringing color into the family. I was bringing a flavor. You know, I was, again, 1975, and my mom was like, what are you reading? And I'm like, don't touch my Luke Cage. Don't touch my Luke Cage Power Man.
Yeah.
And even be like, Jiminy Christmas, sweet Christmas, mother. And so, I mean, that's dialogue from the comic books.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're going to pull some of that off. I mean, the great thing about the Netflix, again, is they're very street level. It's ninjas. It's crime lords. It's drug runners. And yet it works. And because the characters are great. The one thing Marvel has always done is they've given great characters. What did you like about Daredevil?
Well, that's what I loved. I mean, I think it felt like, to me, like taking almost like Law and Order and like an HBO show, and combining it together with a superhero, but not feeling like a superhero. I mean, and he's out there, he's kicking ass, and I just, it caught me off guard. Honestly, I think that's what I loved about it. It was unexpected, and I just thought, this is so good.
I think season 1 of Daredevil had that great hallway battle.
Yes.
And then in season 2, they go, oh, you like the hallway battle?
Yeah.
We're going to give you a multi-level staircase, multi-level hallway, down to the stairwell, down to the hallway, down to the stairwell. I mean, and the thing about Daredevil is you go, he's a guy, and he doesn't have superpowers other than super senses, and he's trained in the martial arts. And the great thing is you're like, there's that guy he beat down, that bad guy number 15 is getting up. Can he take him? Because you're like, is Matt Murdock going to be standing? I love that he goes to Night Nurse, who Rosario Dawson, who stitches him up. See, that's where you go, like, he gets hurt like you and me. You know, it's not like, oh, okay, this will heal later. I'm a mutant. You know, that's the appeal of the street level Marvel stuff. And I think Cage is going to do extremely well because I think it's going to have that broader demographic. It's already, Marvel fans like myself love it. But I think you've got, and this is hilarious, the producer is a guy named Cheo Hodari Coker. When I was 25, Cheo Hodari Coker came to my house. He was a young writer for the LA Times, and he did an entire piece on me. And he was the sweetest kid. And he was taping a segment before I was taping a segment in San Diego for, I think, Comic Book Resources CBR. And I got to talk to him and catch up with him. And there he was. Now he's a producer of Power Man. And you go, it's so funny how these people that I've met along the way, and then I have to bring up Joseph Loeb III, who is credited as Jeff Loeb on all these shows on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Jeff and I used to run a company together. We ran a label called Awesome Comics. He did award-winning runs on Batman. Batman: The Long Halloween, Batman: Dark Victory, and Batman: Hush are staples of any Batman fan. He went to Marvel, and Onslaught Reborn, we did that together. He did Captain America with me, and he got into Marvel TV and now runs Marvel TV, and all these shows are his productions. And so, and again, you go, one of the reasons they stay so true to the material is Jeff comes from comics. And so he makes sure that Hughes very closely, and it doesn't surprise me that he got somebody as talented as Cheo to come in and watch over Power Man. But the one I think you're going to love, Matt, honestly, you're going to love Iron Fist. Iron Fist is so badass. It is also part of the 70s. What was going on in the 70s? Blaxploitation over here, and then Kung Fu cinema. The birth of Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris in his early days, and all the, I mean, Iron Fist was born of that.
Okay.
And Marvel was like, we should do martial arts. And the story of Danny Rand and Jeff Loeb told me on the rooftop of the, what's it called down there in the Hard Rock. The Hard Rock.
Yeah.
The rooftop of the Hard Rock last year. He said, he know me, I'm a huge Iron Fist fan, and he's like, Robert, let me tell you the pilot. And he told me the whole first episode. And I'm like, I think it's going to pull some Lost fans in.
Oh, cool.
Honestly, there's some mystery there. But the story of Danny Rand, whose parents, he's very obviously the Finn Jones, who's from Game of Thrones, is playing Iron Fist.
Okay.
His family is very wealthy in the books. In the comic books, he's like Tony Stark, also an heir to a fortune.
Got it.
But goes down in the streets, and he wields the Iron Fist. And Matt, I don't want to blow it for you, but that discovery and getting there you're going to dig it. So by the end of this year, Matt Barnes is going to be watching Luke Cage, who was born from Blaxploitation, and now lives on Netflix, and will get huge numbers, and martial arts, Iron Fist.
Yeah.
And again, back when I was a kid, Power Man and Iron Fist shared a book.
Yeah.
They actually put them in a book together.
Yeah.
So Power Man and Iron Fist was the name of a comic, and then they would cross over with Daredevil all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And have adventures together. And again, it was that street level stuff. So I'm so excited for you to see this.
No, it's so great. I'm really excited about it. And I thought it was really cool and interesting that the second show they put out was Jessica Jones, where they introduced Luke Cage in that as well and kind of set up that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Jessica Jones, I mean, that was great. And
yes.
I loved Kilgrave. I loved the whole it was subtle and subdued compared to some of the bigger stuff, much like these other. But it worked, and I love that they put a kick-ass woman in there.
Yes.
I mean, I think I was finishing that up right around the time we were doing our kick-ass women episode here.
Yes.
And now I'm like, I would include her because she was
Kristen Ritter.
Yeah, Kristen Ritter. She was great, and loved her on Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23.
Yes,
and
she's fantastic.
As Jane on Breaking Bad and all that. But this was such a different. I mean, she really just killed it with this. And then seeing how they're using like Rosario Dawson as the night nurse, like kind of tying them all together.
Yes,
she's going to be and everything. But I don't know. It seems very smart to me. Do you think that they'll ever take this Netflix world that they're creating and have it cross over at all? I mean, they make little references to when the aliens came.
Oh, sure.
Do you think they'll ever show up in a movie?
We the truth of the matter is that's a very political hot potato right now.
Right.
And I mean that is the fans should know that Marvel Film Division is run by a different guy, Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
And the television division is run by a completely separate arm. They used to share space, but they physically aren't on the same lot anymore.
Oh.
And I think the most PC way to put it is they're very competitive.
Okay.
The TV division, I think, would have to be given credit for doing more with less.
Yeah.
They don't have the $100 million budgets.
Sure.
The greatest thing about Daredevil is that it's done for a price.
Yeah.
I mean, again, they don't have infinite budgets on these shows. I mean, again, the thing about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I feel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a family show.
Yeah, it is.
And I am only interested in the R-rated stuff.
Now, it's interesting because at Comic-Con they were talking about they got their time slot moved to 10 o'clock, I think, now.
Okay.
And so they're saying we're gonna amp it up a little bit. We're gonna try it.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's a reaction to.
I'll
hey, look
view
at
it.
this Netflix stuff is doing well. Maybe we need to kind of head in that direction.
I'll check it out, Matt. I did not know that. I learned that here on Nerdy Pop. See, I show up for a reason. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to 10 p.m.
It's either going to 9 or 10. It's taking an hour later, so they're getting a little bit more liberties.
I just know that Marvel really feels good about these shows. They know how good they are.
Yeah.
And when they look, I'm going to tell you something right now. Batman versus Superman was based on a body of work by Frank Miller.
Yes.
At the same time, literally within a week, they put out Daredevil season 2. That was Frank Miller, end to end, and Frank Miller's best work ever was Daredevil. And Elektra, if you should, season 2, I know you haven't watched it.
Yeah.
You have to watch it and see the saga of Elektra. That romance and that relationship, it threw the comic book world into a crazy tizzy.
Yeah.
I said tizzy in the 80s. And
Bringing it back.
And I'm telling you, Matt, that the TV show is going to do the same. But I think the one thing that excites me the most, we're going to get Luke Cage. and all those cool villains and that Harlem street level action, and then we're going to get the kind of the mysticism, martial arts mysticism, and then I think this time next year we'll be watching the Defenders,
right?
Which brings them all together.
Yes.
Which, look, I could not be more excited. This is a great time to be a comic book fan, and these Netflix shows they're just amazing.
It's great. Yeah, I think we're getting a great variety of content that really brings all kinds of people into comics in ways that they never have before.
And Netflix is everything now.
Yeah.
Everyone is all about
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah.
And these shows, I saw, they're connecting with the audience. They're getting big numbers. And the one thing, like as we wrap this up, we've only seen 2 characters so far: Daredevil and Jessica Jones. 2 seasons, and then of Daredevil and 1 Jessica Jones. So it's going to really broaden out. It's going to. Cool. I'm really doing the hand thing.
Yeah, you are. It's good. Good.
I got my hand coach before the show. But Matt, Defenders.
Excellent.
Marvel on Netflix is great. I'll check out Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at 10 p.m.
I think so.
Jeff Loeb is going to be very happy that we mentioned that.
Yes. Well, that's it for today's show. And don't forget that we have a social media contest going on where you can win this sketch by our own Rob Liefeld, this guy right here.
Yeah.
Original Cable sketch, original art done in his sketchbook. And it's really, really cool.
If you don't want to buy it on eBay, you can win it here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I lose my own auctions all the time. I'm trying to buy back my past, and so I figured.
There you go. So go on nerdypopshow.com and you can get all the details on how to enter. Make sure you're following us on social media at nerdypopshow, and our individual handles are showing up here on the screen for you. Have a great day. We will see you tomorrow.
Woo! Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job.
Nice.
What's next? It's like I took cocaine tonight. And it kicked in. It kicked in around
How many
past
times are we going to get that on tape?